A traverse across the Arctic ice from the North Pole to the remote islands known as Franz Josef Land. It was an almost impossible journey a century ago, and is just as dangerous today. In the late 1800s, Norwegian explorers Fridtjof Nansen and Hjalmar Johansen took refuge on Franz Josef Land in a failed bid for the North Pole. Now National Geographic grantees Børge Ausland and Thomas Ulrich are retracing their predecessor's path to this frigid outpost. These may be islands, but a vacation it's not. Day one, the team gets airlifted to the North Pole. Between the pole and the islands of Franz Josef Land lie over 500 miles of Arctic ice. They must navigate the frozen sea by walking, skiing, paddling, and sometimes flying with kites.
The kiting on the ice, I guess, was the most dangerous part. Everything goes very fast and you have to react fast, and it was very dangerous that you fell and you hurt yourself or you can break a leg.
Okay. With a stiff breeze and smooth ice, the team can cover up to 30 miles a day. But when the wind stops, or ocean currents compress the sea ice into pressure ridges, progress slows to one painful step at a time. Børge and Thomas must retrace their own footsteps far too often. The sledges, filled with food, shelter, and fuel, weigh in at over 350 pounds apiece. After more than a month on the sea ice, a welcome sight.
Vi ville holde på å filme noe.
Eva Island, the northeastern tip of the archipelago, lands seductively close and yet maddeningly difficult to get to.
The polar ocean started melting off and get apart, and we had to fight very difficult sections, like we had a lot of currents, we were almost drifting away from our island. Superstrålende. Der ser vi faktisk kanskje vår.
Leaving the open ocean behind, the explorers turn their attention to the islands. But soon they find themselves among some very curious locals.
I think we met about 25 or 30 polar bears on this expedition, and some came really, really close. And to have a polar bear just 2-3 meters away, this huge meat eater with teeth that can crush you in instant, that's a very intense experience. When we came to the certain parts of the island, there was no ice anymore. Polar bears that were trapped on the same islands as us, they could go nowhere.
For the next month, Børge and Thomas pick their way through the islands of Franz Josef Land, finding evidence of the Nansen's expedition over 100 years earlier. The remnants of Nansen's hut, where the explorer overwintered for 7 frozen months, preserved for a century by the cold. Finally, on day 85, the end of the journey, Cape Flora. Here, Børge and Thomas will meet their ride home, a sailboat dispatched to retrieve them. But the boat's not there. They're forced to wait for 3 more weeks, their food stores all but gone. Fortunately, Thomas isn't afraid of heights. Well supplied with some local cuisine, Børge and Thomas have the beach to themselves, at least until the tourists show up.
Hello there.
Hello.
I'm Gretchen. This is Bob. We're from Los Angeles.
Hello. What are you doing here?
We've come to see you.
Did you know that you're the first people we've seen in 3 months?
You're kidding.
No?
Are you delighted or not so delighted?
Well, we are excited.
Take what we get.
Okay. I can understand that.
In a rapidly shrinking and changing world, it seems no place is too remote for a summer holiday. Finally, as the Arctic summer wanes, a sail on the horizon. They paddle out to meet their boat. For Borga and Thomas, the journey took just over 100 days. For Nansen, it took 3 years, a century apart, and a very different world.
Sponsored by National Geographic Mission Programs, taking science and exploration into the new millennium.